science and philosophy. She reflected on her God, her inner struggles, and her extreme physical challenges in her meditations. Her book of poetry, The 10th Muse Lately Sprung Up in America, was published in England in 1650, not by Anne, but by her brother-in-law, and possibly without Anne's knowledge. It was popular throughout the 17th century and into the 18th century, but gradually her poetic work was pushed onto lower bookshelves where it gathered dust and was overlooked. Then, John Harvard Eliot reprinted The 10th Muse Lately Sprung Up in America in 1867, and poet Conrad Aiken included some of her poems in his 1929 anthology of American poetry and initiated a serious re-evaluation of Anne. John Berryman's poem, Homage to Mistress Bradstreet, in 1953, and the feminist movement, beginning in earnest in the mid-1960s, introduced an even more serious re-evaluation of her work. Poet Adrienne Rich applauded Anne by writing that the texture of her work is essentially both Puritan and feminine. Her individualism lies in her choice of material rather than in her style. To have written poems, the first good poems in America, while rearing 8 children, lying frequently sick, keeping house at the edge of the wilderness, was to have managed a poet's range and extension within confines as severe as any American poet has confronted. Samuel Eliot Morison pointed out that Anne was unusual among the men and women of the first generation of the settlers of New England, in that her character, her thoughts, and her religion were expressed in poetry that has endured and will endure. The reluctant immigrant, Anne Bradstreet, became a reluctant historical figure when she stepped into history and literature books as the first woman poet to be published in colonial America. Chapter 1. England. Anne's story begins in Northampton, in the central part of England, about 60 miles northwest of London as the crow flies. Born there in 1612, Anne was the second child of Thomas and Dorothy Dudley. They already had 4-year-old Samuel, who was to remain their only son. Thomas and Dorothy had married in 1603, the year of Queen Elizabeth's death. Anne's mother, Dorothy York, was born in 1582 in the county of Northamptonshire. She was a gentlewoman, both of good estate and good extraction. Dorothy's father was Edmund York, a yeoman. At that time, a yeoman was a landowner who worked the land, with or without laborers, depending on his wealth. He was a member of what was regarded as the middle class. Thomas Dudley was born in October of 1576 in Yardley Hastings near Northampton to Captain Roger Dudley and his wife Susanna née Thorne. Genealogists and historians still debate Roger's connection to the poet Sir Philip Sidney and to the Sutton Dudleys of Dudley Castle in Worcestershire. But Thomas seemed sure of the connection. Through his maternal side of the family, Thomas was a descendant of Henry II of England. Thomas was just a boy when his father was killed in battle, fighting for Queen Elizabeth I, and he was an early teen when his mother died. Family friends provided a home for the orphan, who had been left with £500 in trust. They made certain that the young man received a good education, and eventually he became a page for a family of nobility in Northampton. Having a position as a page was no small thing then. He was not like a menial servant. Among other tasks, he learned how to oversee an estate. With Queen Elizabeth I on the throne, the nation rose to a powerful position in the world, and her policies united the country. She said, "Be ye ensured that I will be as good unto you as ever a queen was to her people." And she meant it. She did not let her people down. The economy flourished. The Queen's 45-year reign was a golden age of overseas expansion and trade, literature and the arts, and scientific thought. Navigator and historian Sir Walter Raleigh, explorer Sir Francis Drake, philosopher Francis Bacon, mathematician and physicist Sir Isaac Newton, poets Sir